We're live.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome, welcome. We thank all those who are joining us today. We are continuing another hot and sizzling topic, navigating the process of recovery. Recovery by itself is a challenge. Change is not usually easy. Change takes time. And as we navigate today and as we lunch and learn today, we hope to make it an easier process for those who are in the period of recovery. What do we recover from? Are some of the questions that we may need to answer. What do I recover from? What do people recover from? We recover from loss. We recover from a job that we have been laid off from. We recover from grieving. We recover from setbacks in our personal lives and in our business and in our communities. We even recover from just losing a lot of money, losing our homes, maybe through repossession, anything like that. Recovery is recovery. And setbacks are things in life that occur once you're a human being and you're living on this planet called Earth. And so every now and again, we have to make small recoveries and we have to maybe make larger recovery plans. Whatever it is, change is important. Today with me, we have Dr. Janice Brooks, a very, very capable co-host, a temperament coach, a certified leadership consultant with the John Maxwell Group, and also a Master's of Divinity in Pastoral Counseling. So she's a certified counselor. We also have with us Dr. Seifert Howell, who is also a certified leadership educational consultant, a relationship coach, and also a master coach in other areas that are even life coaching. And so I am yours truly also, Dr. Marcia Thomas, a certified leadership coach and life coach, among other things, a Christian life coach. And three of us are authors in our required field and authors about life challenges and topics. You can pick up our books if you're a part of Amazon, or you can contact us for copies. We want to look at our first question today, and that question is, what are the steps for extracting lessons from our experiences, failures or disappointments that will make us wiser or stronger? Could we start with you, Dr. Janice?
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Marcia, and welcome to everyone who is joining us today. That is such an excellent question because we all have different, I call them experiences or events in our lives. And if we do not extract from these experiences and these events some kind of lesson, then we would come out worse than we went in. And so I want to look at these experiences not so much as like failure or anything like that. I want to look at these experiences just in the way that we did not achieve maybe a goal or an aim or something that we actually set out to get done. So let me just say this, because many a times we look at other people's experiences and we can learn from other people's experiences, but when we are able to sit with our own experience, then we are able to extract from that the lessons that we really need. And so I want to just mention a few things that we can do with these experiences so that we can take away the lessons, and not just the lessons, the critical lessons that are important for our lives. And the first thing I want to say is that we need to pause. Too many times, people are just going like fast, up and down, up and down, and up and down. And it's one thing after another. But this word that is called pause is so important because we need to pause. We need to sit with ourselves and do some kind of reflection. Ask ourselves some real deep self assessment questions so that we can really go inside of us because the answers are all there. And we really have to be truthful to ourselves when we do this because a lot of times we are, on the blame path, let me call it that. We blame others for the errors or the mistakes or what we call failures that we experience in life because we did not do any of these. We failed to sit with ourselves. It brings me back, Dr. Marcy, and I'm going to say this quickly because this is not something that started today. This is something that is coming from all the way back in history. Let me call it that. We remember that man who sat at the pool of Bethesda in the Bible. The Bible says that he was sick for 38 years. We don't know really how long he was there because it also said that Jesus knew that he was there for a long time, whatever that long time was, but it's clearly stated that he was sick for that time. But the point I'm making here, when he was asked, what is it that he wanted? Do you want to be healed? He turned his response to others. He said that there is nobody to put me in when I need to go in. And so many a times, because we don't pause, we don't sit with ourselves, we don't go deep within to find the answers. We blame others. We don't we don't get any form of we don't do any form of um, reflection, self-assessment. We don't do any of that, and so we are not able to clearly extract the real lessons that we need to extract. So let me say again, pause, reflect, do some self-assessment, sit with yourself and go deep inside and find the answers. Don't blame anyone for your failures or your lack of success.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to agree with that. We when there are issues and mistakes and failures that everybody makes, because nobody's perfect, and a lot of times we want people to be perfect when we are not,
Mm-hmm.
and that does not happen. Mistake, failures, and accidents, that's why they are in life, because what they do is set apart for us if we learn from them and if we see them as opportunities. And so we want to look now that you are saying, in essence, that most of the times we react to these instead of respond. A response is different from a reaction. A reaction is really based on emotion, and a response is based on that pause, that reflection, that conscious taking of things that make us realize that we are not on the frame of what we are to be on. Very good. So we are to respond and not react, first of all, by looking into ourselves and assessing where we are and how we can recover, and the steps we can take for that recovery. And so we move to you, Dr. Howell. What
Yes.
are some of the small steps that we can take on the path to recovery? What are some of the small steps that we can take?
One of the things that I heard recently, people are quick to talk about affirmations and talk about manifestation. But one of the things that I heard this week as I was getting ready for this topic is the reason why a lot of people do not manifest what they say is because they do three of the four steps. They say, and they say it in the present tense, which is good. They can see it to some extent. And so that is the second part. But they can also feel it, but they feel it to some extent. Because the last thing that they do not do is move as if it has taken place. See, you have to plan and move forward. You can't just say it, you can't just believe it, and you can't just feel it. You have to do something about it. And if you don't do that fourth part, it doesn't manifest. And the weird concept is that whether you believe in God, or not, it still takes faith. And so manifestation works, but you have to walk in faith. That means you have to do something. You got to get up and go. You have to verb. There's an action that is required of you. You can't just sit on the couch and manifest stuff. It's kind of like if your car is going off a cliff, you don't just pray that God saves you. You got to try and unbuckle the seatbelt and jump out the car. And once you do that, then God will say, okay, this person is trying. Let me pick up the slack. Where you fall short, I will pick up. And so there's time for self-care practices. If you want to lose weight, you got to exercise. You got to eat right. You got to get your rest, because they say that weight increase and lack of sleep go hand in hand. And so not only must you exercise, you have to eat right, but you also have to sleep right. If you want happiness, you have to look towards happy people. You have to look towards happy events. You have to surround yourself with people who are more upbeat. But you're not going to attract those upbeat people unless you first start to work within yourself. If you want to get married and you're looking for Mr. Right, you must also be Mrs. Right. And so you have to work on yourself. You can't just sit there and ask God to find you the right man or the right woman without first working on yourself. And so you have to do things in order to make sure you get what you want. So if you write in your journal and you see that a lot of your stuff at the end of the week has been negative, you have to work on gratitude. You have to work on becoming positive in nature. If you want people to forgive you, you must first practice compassion. You have to be patient. You have to heal internally. And so there are actions that you need to do in order to make that change that you want so much.
Wow.
Wow, wow, wow. A lot of nuggets there. Dr. Howell throwing, I love the demonstration with the car. You don't just car and tell God to just help you to go over that cliff. You do everything in your power to take
Everything.
those small steps. So recovery is similar. What he's really saying is that the moment you begin to assess, as Dr. Brooks has said, the moment you begin to look in yourself, the moment you start to respond, you will now take the steps after that assessment to turn your disappointments into challenges, to see them for what they are, something that is a part of you, something that is a part of life, and something that you can get over. Very, very good points, Dr. Howell. It's always something that you can get over. And I say, how do you turn your disappointments and reframe them into challenges? You are still here. That's the first thing. You did not, that challenge did not take you out. The challenge left you standing. You are looking, you're on the outside looking inside of that challenge. And that challenge can change because you are alive and you are in charge of it. Now, being in charge of it now, you are going to learn the lessons from those disappointments. What is the lessons that it taught me? What did I learn about myself? What did I learn about the goal I want to achieve? And how do I make sure that I know not do the same thing over and over and expect to get the same result? What are the steps that I need to take that are different? And what are the steps I need to maintain so that I can achieve my worthy goal that I've set out to a goal to achieve? Do I need to change that goal? Is one of the ways that you frame your disappointment into something that is beneficial for you and not seen as a challenge. The next thing that you would want to do also as you move with that is that you would want to make sure that you have the right persons, the right accountability partners, the right support group with you so that you can make the necessary changes that you need to make. And so, Dr. Brooks, my question is to you: who are the persons, or what types of persons should we take with us on a recovery path that we should allow to guide us through? Or do we need persons, any at all, to help us to recover?
As a matter of fact, Dr. Marcia, that's such an excellent question. And I say this because there was a time in life when we would tell our problems or we would go to people with our different situations. And when we do that, that thing, that problem was half solved, meaning that those persons, they would empathize with us, they would even pray with us, they would point us to the right resources. But I want to come away to today, and many times in our world today, a problem or a challenge that is shared with others almost become the talk of the day. And so we have to now be careful when we are choosing or looking for people. We have to make sure that we look for quality people, meaning that people who are rightly connected to, first of all, connected to God, and people who exemplify the character that we want to exemplify. People who have the insight and the discernment, people who have the knowledge, not just the knowledge, the understanding of where we want to get to, of the problem we have, or at our space in time as to where we are. And I say this because there is a popular things, and I say it all the time. It says if you are going somewhere, ask of someone who is coming back, because they are more likely to help you to get there, to show you the way. And so I want to say, Dr. Marcia, it has to be quality people. It has to be people who understand where you want to get to. It has to be people who I literally say, who are able to cover you, who are able to even pray with you and for you, people who are able to reach you at your core. And many a times we internalize things, and it calls for the people who have that level of discernment, to be able to look at us and to say, I see you, I know where you are. And it's those quality people, Dr. Marcia, that we need in our lives.
Excellent, excellent, Dr. Brooks. Those quality people, those persons who can support us, those who can lift us, those who can challenge us, and those who can nudge us when we need to be nudged. Those are the persons that we need. Those who love us unconditionally, but they are bent and they are focused on improving and lifting us. Those are the persons that we need to have in our support group. Very, very solid point. I am happy I have those persons around me in Dr. Brooks and Dr. Howell. And I know that once I slip, I will never slide because I have these persons. Thank you for being there for me. So the next question I want to ask is, I have high quality people around me, those persons who we just described. Do I really need them, or do I have my own abilities and capabilities and skills that I can use? Can I really avoid them? Do I have these abilities that I know I don't have or have, Dr. Howell? How can these abilities that I have, these skills and these talents, how can these people bring them out in me, or more, how can I bring them out in myself so I can recover properly and do what needs to be done and achieve my goals and become my best self? How can I do that? Can you tell me, Dr. Howell?
Now that's a loaded question. The first thing I want to tell you is to listen to what Dr. Brooks said. Dr. Brooks says you need to have those HQP, those high quality people, and that's very important. But you cannot attract those high quality people unless you first work on yourself. The as I always say, I always revert back to John Maxwell. He talks about the law of the lid. The lid is how far you have risen in your journey or in your growth, whether as a leader or as a regular individual. And that lid determines who you have the ability to attract. And so as you work on self-development, you will attract better, high quality people around you. And those people can help bring out what's within you, because everybody does have the ability to overcome, but we may not have the insight or the know-it-all to do it effectively or efficiently. And so having those people around us can help bring out the best in us. If you look at the disciples did not fully develop until the day of Pentecost. That's when they were ready. But they spent, and listen to this carefully, they spent 3+ years with Jesus. But then once Jesus went through his valley of ridicule and his value of decision, all of them abandoned him. So that makes us wonder, how will we be since we don't have the master with us for 3 years? And so with that being said, we're quick to look at our defeats and say, oh my goodness, I'm such a failure. Oh my goodness, I can't do this. But the disciples had their creator himself, and they still fumbled the ball and they still dropped the ball. And so we have to have self-compassion. That's the first thing we need to have. And we need to have self-compassion instead of self-ridicule and self-doubt. And so that's the first thing we need to do. And the second thing, we need to reflect on the times that we were successful, the times that we persevered through hardships, and look at it from that perspective. What did I learn in the hardship versus, oh my goodness, my life is so horrible? Consider what strengths we have, because everybody has some talent, some gift that we've been given. So what strengths and talents do you have that will help you get through your struggles? Sometimes your talent might be attracting people, and you can use those people to help you get through some of your problems. And so every talent you have has a purpose. You need to recognize your emotional intelligence. What triggers do I have that are stopping me from moving forward? And what people can I help so that they can also pour back into me? And then look at your setbacks. Those setbacks, how can those setbacks help you get a better footing so you can move forward? I have several degrees in martial arts. I have several black belts. And one of the things that we learn in martial arts is sometimes you have to retreat so you can get a good footing, so you can come back with more strength. If somebody is coming at you and you cannot protect yourself, you move to the side. Sometimes a lateral move is okay because so you can gain back your confidence and move forward. And so, as with everything else, you have to make sure that you use the wisdom that you have learned along the way to have a better ability to move forward. And last but not least, you need to have faith. Faith in the fact that you may not be where you want to be, but you're not where you were yesterday or last year. As long as you're moving forward, there is a reason for celebration. And don't look at people because they're moving faster than you. God is moving you at the pace you need to move at. So stop looking at other people and stay focused on where you're trying to go. And that's what you need to do in order to help yourself get back where you need to get to.
Wow. Wow. Yes.
Wow.
You're on mute, Dr. Marcia. Excellent points, Dr. Howell. As a matter of fact, as Dr. Howell, if Dr. Marcia allow me to say this, as Dr. Howell was speaking, particularly about the qualities, the faith, and all of those, I truly believe that these qualities are not present in everyone at the same level. And so some of these qualities you literally have to work on every single day to get to a place where you can really stand in these kind of qualities that you spoke of, Dr. Howell, like resilience and patience and perseverance and persistence and faith and hope. These things you have to work on a daily basis to get to that place where when you are able to really display these qualities, you are able to bounce back at an easier pace, and not just an easier pace, at a quicker pace, because there are many persons who have for years they have had setbacks and they just can't bounce back because they are not able to apply any of these qualities, any of these pulls, let me call it that, to help them to bounce back. And so it's so interesting, everything that you spoke, Dr. Howell. That faith is also so important. Dr. Marcia, back over to
More
you.
than important. Faith in itself is more than important. And maybe they don't even realize, Dr. Howell, that they have some black belts too, because when you have that issue, when you find that you have those issues, sometimes you find that you have resilience. You never knew you had resilience, but you find that you have resilience. And you also find that you have sorry about that. You also find that you have faith, and that you actually have patience, and that you actually have expertise and skills, and you actually also find that you are able now to find your experiences, use these experiences to guide you through. And so you find that you are not giving up, you are just holding on, and you are able to say, if I got through this and it did not kill me, then I must can take the next step that I need to take to move forward. So your setback in itself, if you evaluate it properly and if you work with the lessons that you have learned, you find deep inside yourself that you have some diamonds in you, and that it has made you stronger and wiser and more capable to achieve what you want to achieve. The final question I want to ask, though, is that how do you as an individual look at your setback and find what it is that you can control and what you can control and work on those things? How do you do that? Because sometimes we find it very difficult to recover because we want to achieve those things that we really not can't. It's outside of our control. We are not able to. And for that reason, we sometimes get ourselves in trouble. Can you answer that question, Dr. Brooks? Can you give us some feedback on that question?
And that again, I believe we have so many excellent questions being thrown at us today, Dr. Marcia, because I do believe that there are things that we can control and there are things that are outside of our control. And many times we believe that everything is inside of our control. And this is the thing I want to talk about today. We always have to look, listen, and learn. And how often do we do this? How often do we really look, listen, and learn? Those are three important words for us to use every single day. Look, listen, and learn. I keep telling persons that everything that you need is literally up in this area here. The mind is up there, the ears, the eyes, all of those things. It's like the center of our being. So if we're able to look, listen, and learn, there are many things that we'll be able to do after that. Some things that we'll be able to do is to change or to shift our perspective. When we are able to look, listen, and learn, then we can shift or change our perspective. Because sometimes, Dr. Howell and Dr. Marcia, our perspective is shaped by so many things. It's shaped by our environment, the people who we grow up with. It's shaped by our level of knowledge and our level of understanding. But when we're able to look, listen, and learn, then we can literally, our perspective will be changed. And the other thing I say, we have to be sensitive. We have to handle each situation as it is. We can't bundle. I have a sister, and I keep telling her, do stop putting your own experience with the experience of others. Don't bundle them. You are you, they are they. We have to be sensitive and look at things in an individual sense. And the final thing I want to say too is that, sometimes we beat up ourselves too much. And we all have limitations. Whether we know it or not, we have limitations. Go up to the tree that is 20 feet tall and jump from it and see what's going to happen to you. If you think that there's no limitation. We have to give ourselves some grace in all of this. We have to know that because we have certain limitation that protects us, and the limitation is not anything that that hurt or harm us. It's protecting us, and so we have to give ourselves some grace, some compassion. We cannot do all things by ourselves. That's not what the Bible said. It says we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us, and that's why it's so important.
Mhm. That's deep. Another thing I want to add to that is this: we've been telling kids all these years that they have the ability to be anything they want, and I don't believe that that is true. You can do anything you want based on your experiences and based on the purpose that you were brought here for.
Very much so.
Because we're given certain talents, and those certain talents are shaped to put us in a certain direction. And so we may never be the fastest runner, but we could be better at something else. Everyone can't be good at sports. Everyone can't be good at singing. You can become an average singer, but you can't go from a non-singer to the best singer in the world without some level of initial ability to add to that, that experience, or to add to that constant grit, as people would say, and the diligence to improve what you have. You need to know what you were put here for and amplify what you were put here for, or amplify what is already within you. So everybody cannot be a concert pianist, but everybody has a role. And so to say that everyone could be an astronaut, to say that everyone could be a professional sports figure, or to say that everyone can be a newscaster, to me, is setting kids up for failure. When in actuality, they were born for a very specific task. It doesn't mean that you can't become good at something, but you'll never ever be excellent at it if it's not within the cards for your purpose.
Very much so. I love that. I love that, Dr. Howell. Very good. Very, very sizzling in here. We are hot in here today. I love that because that is a solid point. We are born, we are created for certain things. And we have to ensure that we understand that. The thing we cannot control is how people react, their reactions. We cannot force people to be loyal. We cannot stop people from betraying us. That is a choice that they make within themselves. Those are some setbacks that we cannot control, but we can control our response, and we can live and let live, and we can be our best selves. Nothing hinders us from being our best self. Nothing hinders our recovery except us. Our recovery is a choice to either voluntarily give up and fail, or a choice to learn from my setbacks, step on them, and move forward. Those are two choices, and that is how we control our setbacks. We do not allow them to control us. Once we are aware of what we can do, we leave what God must do into His hands, and we move forward by His grace and through His strength and by His power and through our support groups, and using the talents and abilities and the lessons we have learned and the discoveries that we have made about ourselves and our new self-awareness and our new self, to move forward to meet our new challenges and the new setbacks that we may encounter in life. The next thing that we want to do at this point is, we are going over time a little, is that we want to, at this time, we want to just give our last remarks. What would we say, Dr. Brooks, to someone who is recovering at this time? What would you say, Dr. Howell, to someone who needs to have that type of encouragement to move forward, to just get past this stagnation, or where they might just be stuck? What would you be saying to that person at this time?
Well, my final words to that person is just to let them know that everything that we come across in this life is actually a lesson for our growth. And the sooner we understand that, then the better we come out of every experience. No experience is wasted. Every experience has something in it. Additionally, I want to us to remember that we are actually spiritual beings living an earthly or a natural experience, and so we will have challenges, but we also have to look at these challenges not so much in the natural context, but in the spiritual context, and pay attention to the things that happen to us every single day. Because when we do that, we are better able to recover. We won't blame the people around us, we won't blame our circumstances. We will be able to look deeper and go to the source of where this challenge, this problem, or this failure is coming from.
Okay, and to add to that, that was very profound in its own right. So I'm going to add to that just slightly with my closing remarks. As I said earlier, everyone cannot be exceptional in everything. And so when you have setbacks and failures, that's a time to check to make sure you're going in the right direction. One of the reasons for failure might be you're going in the area that is not part of your purpose. You might be going with the crowd versus going with your uniqueness. And so look at the spiritual aspect of it. Is it God leading you in another path? Is it you trying to go in a direction that you're not supposed to go in? And so contemplate that. So there's always going to be a chance for self-reflection. There's always going to be a chance for self-development. There's always going to be a chance to make sure that where you're going is in line with what you were birthed on earth for. Because as we keep saying, everyone was born with a specific plan. And as long as you are alive, you have not yet achieved your specific goal in life. And so if you're there in life and you're still alive, that means you need to get up and move forward, or you got to keep going. But don't say I'm ready to go and you're still alive, because as long as you have breath, there's still something for you to do. There's still someone for you to encourage. There's still some aspect of your purpose that has not been achieved yet. So figure out what it is. Stop wallowing in self-pity. Get up, move forward.
Yes. Excellent point, Dr. Howell.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Dr. Marcia. You're on mute.
And I'll just say you are still here. After everything, you are still here. Whatever challenges or setbacks you have, you are still here. What does that mean? It did not break you, so it must build you. And as it builds you, you must become your best self. I am in total agreement with you, Dr. Howell. Excellent points you have made. Excellent points you have made today, Dr. Janice. We want to thank all those who have listened, and those who are with us, and those who are unwanted with us, which is my granddaughter here, Adelia. She's with us today, and she has to put in a little bit. And so we want to thank you so much for wherever you were listening from. We appreciate you. We celebrate you. Thank you for having lunch with us. Next week, we will come again with another exciting topic, very relevant and very upbeat topic for you. I am Dr. Marcia, your Christian life and leadership coach. Dr. Howell, our master coach in relationships, and Dr. Brooks, our temperament coach. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon.
God bless you. Have a great evening, everybody.